I heard you like functions, so we put a function in your function so that you can function while you function. My name is Wolf, and I'm a barely functional dev. This time around, we're going to be talking about a topic I call Funception. That is, functions that are nested within other functions. It's important to distinguish this topic from function composition, which I previously covered. If you haven't seen that video already, I encourage you to watch it. So with function composition, what happens is you take a function's input, feeds into that function, the output then becomes fed into another function, and then the output of that becomes the output of the resulting function. When you combine those, when you put a box around that, what you've done is you've composed the two functions together. It's like you've created a chain of functions that behaves as one function. So what we're doing here is a little bit different from that, because what we are going to do is we're going to have a function be the input or the output or both to another function. This may seem kind of odd, so I'm going to take a step back and go back to the analogy that I used of a function as a library, which was covered in my video about functions, of course. So what you can imagine is that we have a library of all the possible books in the world. And let's say that instead of doing a lookup with the input like we would have in the previous video I described, instead of the input being exactly what shelf to go to, what book to pull off the shelf, and then what page to turn to, maybe you just want information about all the books in the library. So what we could do, though, is the library doesn't really know what information you want. It doesn't know how to summarize each of the books that you want to get information on. So what you could do is you could teach the function how to get that summary by providing another function. You could give a lookup saying, given this book as my input, here's what I want the summary to be on the output. And then you could pass that function as the input into this other function, and then it would operate on all the books that existed, and out the other end, you would get a summary of every single book in existence. So what we can do now is, let's say we don't want to have to write that summarize function ourselves. Well, what we could do instead is we could have a library where instead of it being a library of books, it's a library of libraries, which sounds kind of crazy when you think about it, but ultimately what we're doing here is we're generalizing the whole operation one level up. So basically, let's say we have a category of books, for example, a topic like cats, and we have a library that knows how to summarize every topic in the world. So if we tell that library cats, we'll get as the output, we'll have a function that can take any book in existence, and then it will output a summary of that cat book. And this summary will be contextual. It will understand all of the terms of cats and the nuances of cats and the purrs of cats and the meows of cats and everything to do with cats. And so we've just built a layer of reusability for our functions. Now we can pass in any topic and the output will be this function. And then we can even go one step further. We could pass that function into another library and get a summary of all the possible cat books that exist. So that's what I have for you today. Leave a comment below how you think I did, and let me know any other topics that you're interested in knowing about.